What's happening, Andy? Here I am joined today by AJ Baggott. AJ is with RJ Young now out in Nashville, Tennessee. How are you, AJ?
I'm good, Andy. Thanks for having me, man.
Great to see you. Congratulations. We've got big news from Nashville. You were just promoted to president of RJ Young. So why don't you give us some background? Who's RJ Young? How long you been in business? How many locations? All that. What do you guys do?
Awesome. Yeah, we can do that. So RJ Young Company has a long tradition, headquartered in Nashville, Tennessee, as you mentioned. We've got 32 locations across the Southeast. That's across 9 states in the Southeast. If there's SEC football, we have an office there. So we try to make sure that we're covering the Southeast, as holistically as we can. We've been in business for 68 years, so really long tradition, a lot of history, and you're hard pressed to walk around Nashville and find somebody who doesn't know the RJ Young brand. So was really fortunate to join the company when I did. I came on board 7 years ago as the CFO. Came on board to help Chip with acquisitions and have kind of steadily progressed throughout the organization. Got to work with some folks who were legends throughout the industry. They worked at RJ Young for a long time. Learned a lot from those guys, and now have been given the honor of leading the company as the president.
So you're a privately owned company, and you're one of the biggies. You're in the top, I would say top 10 for sure. You've been in business forever, but you're not just copiers, right? I mean, that's what you started as, office equipment, and now you've expanded into managed services. And what else do you guys do besides just a traditional office equipment?
Yeah, so that's a good question. So, like many of the other copier dealers in the imaging industry, we expanded into the IT services and managed service provider space. We've been doing that for about 8 years, growing that side of the business pretty regularly, mostly organic. We did do an acquisition on that side of the house last year to grow it at a little more scale. But so the managed services on the IT side is a pretty big component of what we do. But we also run an outsourced print shop, so promotional items, outsourced print, kind of industrial level print facility here in Nashville. But we also, through the pandemic, we found, we had a 5-year plan for diversification that I'd rolled out to Chip in 2019. We fast forwarded that to about a 5-month plan when COVID hit. And have really expanded into audiovisual phone systems and really trying to be a comprehensive technology provider. So our goal is that with our customers, if they have a technology need, we're the first place they call. And, if that's on the IT service side of things, if that's on the audiovisual side of things, or even physical security, we want to provide all of those opportunities that we can. And if we can't, we have partners that we can, outsource that to, and we've got partnerships that we trust, custom software development, website development, that we can refer our customers to, that we trust those partners to represent us well.
So you guys have been super active with the acquisitions. Now, the managed services that you were just talking about, is this something that's in all of the locations? Is this something you're rolling out everywhere, or is it just unique to maybe certain locations where you had it when you acquired them, or where you've ramped up? You mentioned you acquired a managed services company last year. So
yeah,
how does that fit in with what you guys are doing? Is this something across the board, a commonality? Is it, we sell the same office technology in this location as we do in all 32, or is it differ by region, by state? How does that work for you guys?
Yeah, that's a great question. So we offer the vast majority of what we sell everywhere. We have the same product lines, the same offerings, whether that be on the copier side or the audio visual side, that's universal across all locations. On the managed services side, we have been focusing that in our larger markets. So as I mentioned, 32 locations. Some of those are in more rural spaces and places where right now we're still kind of slow rolling those into those markets from a managed services perspective. But we do offer the managed services on the IT side for pretty much all of our major metropolitan markets that we're in, which right now is probably 10 of the locations that we have.
Now, back to what we mentioned before, you being privately owned, that's not slowed you down as far as acquisitions. You were one of the more active companies that we saw last year. You had, 3 or 4, I think, at least, that I know of. So you're growing organically. You're growing into these new areas. Managed services it's not managed services isn't new, but some of these other areas are the AV and the phones you mentioned are newer. So going forward, is the plan continued organic growth? Is it, is it acquisitions? Is it both?
Sure.
What's the future look like for RJ Young?
That's a great question. So it's both. I think we want to continue to evaluate. The great thing about technology is it changes every day, right? It's also the worst thing about technology is that it changes every day. So we're trying to stay at the forefront of that for our customers. So we're constantly evaluating new product lines and offerings and services to grow some of those things, new revenue streams organically. But we're still seeing, even on the imaging side, really good organic growth in some of our more mature markets. So I think the organic growth to us is important. So total last year, we had almost $30 million of growth year over year, and 60% of that was organic, 40% was through acquisition. And so the 4 acquisitions we did last year, we try to grow responsibly, and we are privately owned. We don't take any private equity money. And so a lot of that is funded through the fact that we do all of our internal leasing. So all leasing that we do is funded internally. And that helps us to fund our own acquisition activity.
Sure.
And really through COVID, we found that to be a huge advantage from just being flexible with customers, giving them a lot of opportunities from a leasing perspective that, maybe were harder to come by from some of our other dealer, competitors in the market. So we do envision ourselves continuing to grow, from an acquisitive perspective, looking for opportunities where it makes sense into new geographies, or potentially new product lines from an acquisition perspective. But also, the organic growth, to me, I think that's the sign of a healthy company. If we can grow organically at the rate we did last year, I feel pretty confident that we'll continue to grow in a healthy way that we have over the past, 60 plus years.
Well, organic growth is key, and there's obviously we're in an industry that is slowly declining, but there's so much out there still, and you look at companies like you, and then companies, even some of your competitors that are all in on print and really do very little in managed services, and maybe down the road that's an issue for them, maybe not, but right now they're still growing, right? There's just
Right.
If you have a good team, if you have a good system in place and a good product line, a good partner that's supporting you, the sky is still the limit on that side, and that's someone like you is using that to fund growth into other areas, so that when print eventually does decline a little more than we would like it to, there's something else there that you guys are doing. And I love the idea of staying close to that customer, whatever the customer wants, and that's this channel, right? That's always been BTA. BTA is 95 plus years old now, I think, and they weren't copiers, they were adding machines, they were calculators, and they were typewriters, and you guys don't sell any of that anymore. But
Right.
I bet some of those offices you have, I bet some of them have typewriters sitting in their lobby, right?
They actually do. We kind of have some historical,
Yep.
museum style things.
I see it everywhere. That's what our heritage is.
Hand-crank duplicators and things like that.
Yep,
So
that's our heritage.
yeah, it's funny, Andy. I talked a little bit. I've been in the industry for 7 years, so in this industry, I feel like a rookie still in a lot of ways. You go to an event and everybody's been in the industry for 40 plus years and things like that. So, but I do think that what you just mentioned is fascinating. That this industry has always evolved when they need to, right, and into whatever the next thing needs to be, right. And that's what we're trying to do here. And so as print declines as a whole, if print is declining as a whole, if we can still have a bigger piece of that smaller pie, we're growing, right? And we're healthy. And then while we're doing that, growing into some of those other newer and more diverse pieces of the business, I don't think there's any limitations to what our industry is capable of evolving into, because we're a customer-centric business, right? And we're delivering an experience and a service to customers that need that. Yep. And so, whether it's copiers or audiovisual or IT services, we've got the opportunity to be able to come in, and the service delivery is what we're selling. The widget that's behind it is the widget behind it. But
it doesn't matter. It's, I've got dealers, you probably know who they are too, selling coffee and water. And, it's the point is, I have a truck, I have a team, I have a recurring revenue stream here that I'm making a lot of money on, whether it's widgets or coffee or toner, or it doesn't matter. It's B2B. It's what does that customer need? Before I let you go, I do want to spend a few minutes talking about your acquisition plan. And I work with a lot of companies. I have a lot of these guys on here, and we talk about this. And if I'm a dealer that's getting ready to bow out, I'm a 40, 50-year-old dealer, 10, $20 million dealer, right in that sweet spot where you're probably looking. Everybody wants me. Why RJ Young? What is it about you guys? Let's say I'm out in Memphis or I'm in, I don't know, Virginia somewhere. What is it about RJ Young that would make me want to consider you guys? Why would I go with you guys?
Yeah, that's a great question. And this is something really important to us. My background at Deloitte, I did a lot of work with mergers and acquisitions. And, to me, the valuations and the number side of acquisitions is the easy part. Understanding the culture of a company and how they're going to integrate into the buyer, to me, is more important. I mean, we've probably evaluated 10x the number of companies we've ended up putting an offer in to buy, just because we want to make sure that cultural integration is going to work. I think that's the quickest way to lose money on the return on investment, is buying something that can't mesh. And so, I think a lot of our sales pitches, we're going to come in and we're going to get to know the people that are selling it, because I think that'll tell you a lot about the kind of business they ran. But we're also going to get to know the people that work there, because that's who's going to now be the face of RJ Young to the customers that we're inheriting through that acquisition, right? And so we've put an emphasis on making sure that we treat those employees of an acquisition just like they've worked for RJ Young for 30 years. And I know in this industry, so many owners are concerned about what their employees' lives look like post-acquisition. It's not just about maximizing what can they get or the highest multiple they can get.
It's their family.
They want to know that those people are taken care of. And I will tell you that, our 10-person leadership team, 3 of those individuals have come through acquisitions. And so we don't look at those people as the stepchildren of RJ Young. Day one of an acquisition, they're a member of our team and what we do here. And, I think a lot of the owners that I've talked to in the past, the first question is, what's going to happen to my people? It's not, what multiple are you guys seeing in the marketplace? And, the people who ask that question first are the ones where I always have the question of, okay, what kind of people are going to be working there that are working for them if that's all they care about? And, I've been fortunate working for Chip. That's not all he cares about, right? Our priority is to take care of our people and take care of our people first. And we take that same approach to acquisitions. So if I were giving a sales pitch to an owner, it would be that I want to get to know you and your people first, and then we'll decide if it's the right fit to pursue a letter of intent or something like that.
Very cool way to do it. And just for the record, to be clear, ACC and Big Ten are on the table as well. It does not have to be SEC. Is that
That's
okay?
Right. Yeah, we'll expand outside the SEC. They're bringing in Oklahoma, so they're expanding. We want to make sure we can keep pace.
All right. Well, AJ, this has been an absolute pleasure. Thank you so much for coming on. Any last shout outs to anybody?
No, just thank you for having me on. And again, thanks to the Crunk family for the confidence and the opportunity to lead this company. I'm excited about it.
Well, congratulations, and we will talk soon. Take care.
Thanks.